you might be wondering, why is this guy wearing a bathrobe and a pair of sunglasses? Well, this guy is dealing with an ongoing skin condition, which I'm told is difficult to diagnose. I won't bore you with the details, but yeah, around the eyes, not looking so hot right now, so I'm going to spare you the unpleasant sights of what that looks like. And the bathrobe is for the application of the pharmacy of creams and ointments that I've been prescribed. And I wanted to record a video anyway. We all talk about vulnerability online, how valuable that is for us to see, for us to witness, how encouraging that is for all of us who are considering coming out online and sharing about our own lives. And so I thought, hey, here's an opportunity for me to lead by example. I'm pretty much at my worst right now. This is the worst condition I've been in for 12 months since I left my old world as a musician and came out here online. My life has been a dream. I've had all my little ducks in a row for quite some time now. And as is often the case, some health issue comes and throws us a curveball. Much of this we can control, some of it we can't. I keep a good diet. I keep a good exercise routine. I take care of my health. Nonetheless, sometimes the body just plays up. So, what am I going to do about that? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about today. What is there to be done? The very last thing that people often tell us, but actually what I've found to be the best solution, is first and foremost acceptance. To accept fully the circumstances, however they show up. This is the root of all wisdom teachings. I know because I went and studied them, every single one. And at the root of all wisdom teachings, although they speak at many different levels, the root teaching at the basis of all wisdom teachings is acceptance. The Buddha said that he taught only one thing, and I've spoken about this before. He's on record as saying to a large assembly of monks at one time, "Monks, both formerly and now, both before and now, I teach only one thing. Dukkha, dukkha nirodha," is what he said. This is Pali, an ancient language spoken in India. Dukkha means dissatisfaction. It's also commonly translated to mean suffering, to mean stress sometimes. A well-regarded translator named Thanissaro Bhikkhu translates dukkha as stress. These translations all work. It can be translated as resistance as well, meaning resistance to one's circumstances. But my favorite translation is dissatisfaction. Suffering, the word that's most often used, is problematic. I find the word suffering to be problematic because the word suffering is too close to the word pain. And why is that a problem? Well, because pain is unavoidable. Dissatisfaction is avoidable. Now, in the absence of dissatisfaction, the first question most people have is, hey, if I'm not dissatisfied, why would I go and change anything? Taking my example right now, if I'm not dissatisfied with this skin condition that I'm suffering and its symptoms, then why would I change anything about it? Well, because I see that it's not optimal. It's not optimal. for me to have this skin condition. It's not optimal for my sleep to be disrupted. As much as I'm able to show up remarkably well in my work, due to the fact that it's so aligned, and I count myself very fortunate in this matter, still, I'm not able to show up optimally. There is no way that a human being is going to function as well on disrupted sleep as they will on a full night's sleep. However much that is that they tend to need. Some of us need less sleep. I'm a 7 or 8 hour guy. And so here I am on roughly 4 hours of sleep a night. And I'm able to show up pretty well. I'm quite happy with how I'm able to show up. But I know it's not optimal. And so given that I'm playing this great game of mutual benefit out here online, I show up to serve, and then the people that I serve pay me in proportion to the problems that I help them solve. This is a mutual benefit arrangement, and it's the only game in town in 2024 if you ask me. I know that I'm unable to play that game optimally while this whole skin condition thing is going on. That's why I try to fix it. I don't have to complain about it. I don't have to cry about it. I don't have to feel sorry for myself in order to go and do what I gotta do. And so I wonder if, as I talk you through this, you're able to detect in your own life the boundary between pain and dissatisfaction. Consider, when was the last time that something in your life wasn't going the way you wanted it to go? When was the last time you experienced something painful? And was there dissatisfaction around it? If you're like everyone else, if you're like I used to be, then yes, there's dissatisfaction around it, because we're trained into this. We're actually trained into, and when I say trained, I don't mean that schools are sat around having meetings saying, how are we going to train the kids to be dissatisfied about their pain? This is an unconscious problem handed down for generations and generations and generations. This all comes from the survival instinct. That dissatisfaction does motivate action. Of course it does. If we complain about something, we're likely to go and do something about it. But here's the thing. That's an ineffective way for us to run our shit in 2024. And here's why. We actually don't have anything to complain about. I have on my phone wallpaper right now a photo that I found on Reddit. And this photo is of, let's see if I can find a way to show this to you. This photo is of a 5-year-old boy. He looks younger than that now I look at it. Who died of cancer around the time that that photo was taken. Now, I don't know if maybe he's 5 and he was still having to use nappies, because how the hell are you going to get potty training into the mix when a child has problems that severe? I saw this photo and I'm laid there in bed experiencing another sleepless night, and I see this photo and I feel great confirmation that indeed I have nothing to complain about, not in the grand scheme of things. So I saved this photo and set it as my wallpaper to give me that confirmation each time I open my phone that, yeah, things are not optimal right now. Things could be better for me right now, but there are many, many folks who have it worse. Now, this is one way of changing our perspective. You know, it's the cliched, there are kids starving in Africa. You know, everyone pulls that one out when someone's feeling hard done by. And it's effective on one level. On one level. It's a tool in our toolbox. It's useful. But what we also want to turn our attention to is the great wisdom and power in simply accepting End of story. We just accept. I'm going to turn my light on because the sun's setting outside. You've likely heard about meditation and mindfulness, and many meditation and mindfulness teachings encourage us to cultivate good qualities. This is wholesome. This is a great thing to do. I spent 2-3 years going for this hardcore, cultivating good qualities with my practice. But then I encountered another teaching, a teaching that said, good qualities are your true nature. You don't have to cultivate anything. This is the teaching of non-duality that presents, first of all, the hypothesis, hey, what if you were never broken and thus don't need fixing? What if you were never broken? What if you are naturally good, wise, kind, compassionate, effective? And then what if you were taught that you must fix yourself? What if the problem is that everyone's running around acting busy like something's wrong? And here's the thing, for the great part of human history, a lot of shit has been wrong. So we can see where these ideas come from. There was disease, there was more war than there is now, and just the value of human life was so much less than it is now. People had to work a lot harder. The standard of living was unfathomably lower. We're spoiled by comparison. But we don't need to be so on guard in 2024. And thus we don't have to complain in order to get shit done. In fact, complaint only slows us down. If you imagine that you were to program a robot to do your job, to complete your daily tasks, whatever those look like, where in the code would you include complain about what's going on? Feel hard done by? Get sad about your circumstances? You wouldn't. Clearly, that would be inefficient. It would be a waste of time. It would be a waste of resources. You wouldn't program the robot to do that. And yet we all run these mental scripts simply because human beings have been running them for thousands of years. But what I'm telling you is they're outdated, and you can delete those lines of code. So let's do a little of that together. Where I'm at in my own practice right now, if you can even call it a practice, is that whatever arises, I immediately accept it. Then I ask the question, okay, what's the optimal plan now? So today I was on the phone to my doctor. I was down at A&E. You Americans will call that the emergency room, because I bumped into an NHS worker who said, hey, if your doctor is being lazy, which is the case right now, they're being lazy with my diagnosis. They've let me down a number of times. It's kind of shocking. He said, just go down to A&E, go down to the emergency room and just insist that you're seen. And I haven't used a doctor's service for decades at this point. This really is the first health issue I've had, which is, again, you know, how's that for gratitude, right? Again, I could be complaining about the situation I'm in right now, or I could remain aware, hey, this is the first time I've even had to speak to a doctor in 20 years. I don't even remember the last time I was in my GP's office. So I went down to the emergency room and I got seen there, and, you know, not much progress was made. But what I'm saying is I went and did what was necessary, not because I was laid up in bed feeling sorry for myself. Actually, I was here at my desk attempting to work, and noticing that these symptoms that I'm experiencing were getting in my way. I'm having to apply these creams and ointments. The itching is just distracting. I would challenge anyone to be so advanced in meditation that they could ignore these symptoms that I'm dealing with, although I'm kind of playing with going into deeper states of meditation and just watching those symptoms arise and pass away. These symptoms are pretty insistent, but it's interesting to play with nonetheless. But what we can also say is, outside of a deep state of meditative absorption, when one is attempting to do their daily tasks, then symptoms like this get in the way. It's suboptimal for these symptoms to be around. So I'm here at my desk, I'm ready to help people, and I'm seeing that there's suboptimal conditions, and so I go and seek a solution. It really only needs to be that simple, friend. And of course, we can extrapolate this out across all of the circumstances of our life. Let's just ditch complaint. Let's just delete those lines of code. Complaint, feeling sorry for ourselves, whinging, moaning, bitching, complaining. Let's just not do it. We don't have to do it in order to go and do what must be done. So let's meditate together. Let's try out a little of this acceptance. If you've never meditated before, that's fine. It's nothing special. One of the things that I'm always keen to do is to take meditation off the pedestal. It is not something magical. You could think of it more like a contemplation or even a thought experiment. Now, if you find it easier to focus when you close your eyes, then you can close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes, and we're going to drop into acceptance together by simply taking stock of all of the sensations of this moment, of everything that's going on. For me, that's a lot of intense itching. For you, hopefully, you're just dealing with the regular sensations of the body. But maybe you have your own thing going on. And actually, the adversity encourages our practice. I have a real strong reason to tighten up every area of my life right now. My diet is under the microscope. My exercise regime is under the microscope. Everything about my personal hygiene is under the microscope. All the different medications I'm using on my skin, I'm having to be very, very careful. What I'm wearing, my laundry detergent, it goes on and on. So if there's some adversity in your life, I encourage you in this moment, if only in this moment, not only to welcome it, but to thank it, to give gratitude for that adversity. Because through that adversity, we learn, we grow. Indeed, it may be that the adversity in your life right now is why you've even watched this video this far. And now, you get a chance to relax with me into acceptance of what is, to say, I choose not to complain about anything. I choose not to resist anything about what's going on right now. I choose instead to see it just as it is. To rest as that sensation, to rest as this circumstance, without trying to change anything about it, not even trying to change your interpretation of it. And then to see you're actually more effective in this state of acceptance This state of acceptance does not mean that you don't go on and do something about your circumstances. You're more capable of doing something about your circumstances when you accept. Because when you complain, when you resist, you're reactive instead of responsive. You're reactive instead of responsible. You're just trying to get away from what's going on. Therefore, you might reach for suboptimal solutions. You might try to distract yourself. You might just go for whatever it is that looks like relief in the moment without being able to hold off and say, I can deal with this. I can deal with this for a while longer. Let me explore wisely what the solution might be. So once again, I encourage you to accept everything about this moment. Drop your resistance. Drop your dissatisfaction. Drop your complaint. Stop trying to push anything away and just be here with this moment as it is. Now, I can't know how this is going for you, but what I can tell you is that whenever I access this acceptance, whatever I'm experiencing is less urgent, harmful, dramatic, affecting. And if you practice this enough, you can just live in this state 24/7. You can live in this state of acceptance. And I promise, friend, it makes everything easier. So if you need to practice this, come back to this video. You can run this meditation anytime you like. It's nice and short, no big time commitment here. I'm just encouraging you to tap into a way of being that is easier than resistance, stress, dissatisfaction, and more effective. So I'll be here for you anytime you need me. Bookmark this video, do whatever you got to do, and see if you can develop the ability to relax into this state of acceptance as often as you please. I promise you it's worth it, friend. I'll see you again for another one soon.